Episode 56 ZT November 8, 2024. California wildfire and India stubble burning air pollution continue. In episode 56 ZT1 United States 2 California 3 Colorado 4 Connecticut 5 New York 6 South America and Central America 7 United Kingdom 8 Norway 9 China 10 India 11 Pakistan 12 PM 2.5 in human health. Main content 1A United States. The election's other biggest losers? Economists. RAWSEP View. The Biden Inflation Reduction Act IRA money for heat pump rebates may not be clawed back by a Republican administration, but a Trump administration will have different economic goals than the Biden administration. RAWSEP View and key excerpts from the Democratic point of view. Harris's platform would actually have done a lot more for the working class than Trump's ever will. It included measures to lower costs by increasing competition and targeted investment to promote economic growth and prosperity. President Biden made a big bet on deliverism, the principle that if you run the economy right and deliver the things people need, such as good jobs, the votes will follow. The votes did not follow. Voters turned Democrats out of the White House despite strong job growth and the defeat of the COVID-related inflationary surge that marred the beginning of Biden's term. Should Democrats stick to the economic platform of 2024, which is based on standard economic principles with a few concessions, such as promises of mortgage down payment assistance and criticisms of price gouging? Or should Democrats go full populist to compete with Trump? During the Depression, President Franklin Roosevelt started his first term as a doctrinaire budget balancer, but soon went populist to fight off threats from communists on one side and right-wing populists such as Huey and Father Charles Coughlin on the other. He called for higher taxes on the rich, a federal minimum wage, and beginning Social Security. Some economic populism may be the only way to forestall economic populism's much more dangerous cousin, political populism. United States fiscal and monetary authorities cleverly avoided what could have been a protracted economic slump after COVID hit. That's not a record to run away from. When your balloon is sinking, there's an instinct to throw everything overboard. But even though voters gave Biden and Harris low marks on the economy, I do not think bad policies were what dragged them down. What dragged them down was the surge of inflation, which was a hard-to-avoid result of COVID. In both politics and economics, Democrats can win while holding fast to their values. The multipart strategy. Do not try to out-polarize the charismatic polarizer-in-chief. Be inclusive. Show humility. Do not let the populist hijack nationalism. Offer hope. Do not be boring. Do not overly rely on educating the other side. That can cause polarization. Create unifying and aspirational narratives. Assign blame sparingly. Be intentional about myth-busting. Highlight solutions and emphasize their efficacy. Avoid adopting the language of right-wing populists. Deliver the goods. RAWSEP View. What follows is the same economist's view of why votes were cast for Trump and some probable negative economic repercussions of Trump's plan. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates of 501c3 nonprofit organization. November 8, 2024. Opinion. 3 Nobel laureates warned last month that Donald Trump's agenda would lead to higher prices, larger deficits, and greater inequality. I think they were right, but voters ignored them. This week's election was a defeat not just for Vice President Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, but also for mainstream economics. On tariffs, taxes, and immigration, Trump took positions that would earn him an F in an economics course. He also slammed the Federal Reserve. Trump touted populist measures like ending taxes on tips and ending taxes on Social Security, but also has not-so-populist plans for cutting taxes on corporations and slowing antitrust enforcement. Both economic and political populists reject constraints on their own political power in service of the people whom they claim to represent. For political populists, those constraints include the separation of powers, an independent judiciary, and a free press. For economic populists, the constraints on the populist person in power may be global trade rules, autonomous federal agencies, and independent central banks. Higher tariffs would slow economic growth and raise prices no matter how many times Trump denies it. People who are angry, frustrated, or afraid will rationalize a lot of bad behavior from a leader who they believe has their back. A lot of voters felt anger about the high cost of housing and childcare, but the prescriptions of mainstream economics still make sense. Trade should be free within reason. Monetary policy should be insulated from politics. Trump got a lot of political mileage out of defying these norms. But reality bites. In the long run, Democrats will be better off sticking to their economic principles while Trump and the party he controls founder. Unfortunately, the American people will pay a heavier price. 1B United States. 5 best ways to use your $8,000 home renovation rebate. Go banking rates. The Inflation Reduction Act provides up to $8,000 per year for homeowners for making energy-efficient improvements to their primary residence. MSNCarbonswitch.com said that switching from an oil furnace to a heat pump system can reduce your heating costs by an average of $947 per year. If you're 1C United States. 2024 Guide to Energy-Efficient Home Improvement Tax Credits. MSN Tax Credit Example. If you spend $6,667 on a qualifying heat pump or more, you can get the full $2,000 tax credit. And if you upgrade several doors. 1D United States. This futuristic HVAC tech is outselling traditional furnaces, and you can get the cool down. First of all, the heat pump moniker is misleading. That's because heat pumps actually cool and heat households by transferring heat as opposed to 1E United States. Wide-reaching efforts needed for continued heat pump expansion. ACHR News. OEM manufacturing capacity has a large hill to climb, complicated by a temporary sales slip of 3% in 2023. iCoolXC. Demand. Heat pumps. 2A California Los Angeles. Mountain fire fouls the air, forcing a wood-burning ban just as fall cool-down begins. Los Angeles Times. But residents in a large swath of Southern California should refrain from burning wood. Friday, the destructive mountain fire has thrown air. Air quality officials in Southern California announced the first no-burn day of the 2024-25 season Friday as the mountain fire burns. 2B California Oakland. Heat pump-assisted water heater technology could make big lift. Utility dive. Reliable hot water is critical for restaurants for preparing food and washing dishes and equipment, as well as hand washing. 2C California, Southern. Wood-burning ban issued across Southern California due to high air pollution levels. KTLA. A mandatory no-burn day alert has been issued by the South Coast Air Quality Management District, prohibiting all residential wood-burning in the 3A Colorado. Local news in brief, November 8th news. AspenDailyNews.com Aspen Daily News. /pile burning set to begin in coming weeks. Fire managers with the Upper Colorado River Interagency Fire Management Unit are planning to begin. 3B Colorado. Pile burning set to begin in Summit and nearby counties. SummitDaily.com Fire managers with the Upper Colorado River Interagency Fire Management Unit are planning to begin burning /piles in the coming weeks on 4 Connecticut. Middletown couple ditches oil tank installs heat pump to lower heating costs. WTNH.com with the rebates we're getting from Connecticut, we're also getting rebates on our taxes at the end of the year, Sinatra said. He says as the temperature begins to drop, many will be thinking about how they can save on high heating bills. 5 New York. The New York Times. Who says you can't live off the grid with solar panels in Manhattan? It takes dedication, solar panels, and lots of vegetables. A man adjusts a linear zoetrope, which looks like a light box mounted on a wall. Like every other appliance in his apartment, it runs on solar power harvested entirely through his portable solar panels. Excerpts edited by RAWSEP for brevity and clarity in relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates of 501c3 nonprofit organization. November 5th, 2024. How long would you go without your refrigerator? How about your stove, lights, coffee maker, microwave, television? In May 2022, this man disconnected his Greenwich Village apartment from the electrical grid to see if he could live unplugged for a year. 2.5 years later, he is still off the grid and has a new book that he bills in its understated subtitle as a guide to solving all, yes, all, our environmental problems. Doing it in a studio apartment in New York City is something different. He was the guy with 4 solar panels spread out on the lawn behind him. Nearly every day for the past 30 months, Mr. Spodek has lugged solar panels and a 17-pound battery up and down 11 flights of stairs to his roof to charge them. Taking the elevator would be cheating, electricity-wise. With 4 hours of sunshine, the setup provides enough juice to power his laptop, cell phone, and instant pot pressure cooker for the day. The gear cost him about $700 on Craigslist. The man packs up his solar panel after 4 hours of charging in Washington Square Park. Even before he unplugged, he had dedicated himself to other environmental challenges. In 2015, he set out to avoid all food packaging, to reduce the volume of garbage he was sending to landfills. He bought only loose fruits and vegetables, and bulk staples like beans and nuts. The following year he gave up flying, which contributes to climate change. He has continued to clean up, and to avoid airplanes and packaged food. I haven't had to empty my garbage in more than a year. When the weather turned overcast and snowy last winter, just 2 sunny days over a stretch of 3.5 weeks, his battery ran low, and he had to limit his diet to uncooked vegetables and cut off almost all communications. I couldn't talk to people on the phone, he said. I had to write by hand. The man's apartment is in Greenwich Village. The lamp, if it is needed, can be plugged into a battery pack. While the roof of his apartment building is under construction, the man must wait in the park while his solar panels recharge. Bill McKibben, an environmental activist who has spent decades advocating collective action, applauded the man's use of solar panels, pointing to a movement in Germany in which more than 500,000 people added solar panels to their balconies in the first half of 2024. It's a really good illustration of how effective solar power is, even in small doses. And there's going to be an endless amount more of just this kind of experimentation. But Bill McKibben added that private lifestyle choices were limited in their impact. The most important thing an individual can do is be a little less of an individual, he said, and join together with others in movements big enough to enact some change. But even small, individual gestures can have a ripple effect, said the Vice President of Communications and Creative Strategy at the nonprofit Rewiring America, which promotes conversion to electricity, including solar. When someone puts up solar panels on their place, it's catalytic because people see it done, she said. Then they'll do it, and other people will see that. So I never underestimate the power of individual action. 6 South America and Central America. Compound dry hot fire events connecting Central and Southeastern South America. Nature. P20F related smoke elevated PM 2.5 levels in the SA's most populated area, exceeding WHO guidelines by up to 600%. Smoke-induced air pollution episodes. 7A United Kingdom Britain. Brits call for log burners to be banned in the UK, with burning rules explained. Insider Media. A recent survey has shown that more than a third of UK residents support a ban on the installation and use of log burners. 7B United Kingdom Britain. Consumer watchdog urges government to tackle barriers to heat pumps and EVs. Yahoo News UK. The government must do more to tackle cost and other barriers discouraging consumers from switching to heat pumps and electric vehicles. United Kingdom Britain. Consumer watchdog urges government to tackle barriers to heat pumps and EVs. Radio News Hub. While the cost of installing heat pumps varies, the median price for installing an air source heat pump is just under £13,000 according to data. 7C United Kingdom Britain. Log burners. The rules explained as Brits call for a ban. Edinburgh News. Wood burners and solid fuel appliances significantly contribute to air pollution, primarily through the emission of particulate matter, PM. PMs are. 7D United Kingdom Britain Leicester. Wood burner rules everyone now needs to follow before lighting fire. Leicestershire Live. Leicester Mercury. From sweeping chimneys to checking alarms, these simple steps will help you avoid any fire-related disasters this season. 1. Have your chimney swept. 70 United Kingdom Britain Lancashire. Wood-burning stove rules owners now need to follow before a fire. Lancs Live. People using wood-burning stoves and open fires have been warned there are a number of rules you need to follow before you strike a match and get. 7F United Kingdom Scotland. Ban on wood-burning stoves in new homes ditched. BBC. There had been concerns that a ban on wood and peat burners would have a negative impact on people living in rural areas. 7G United Kingdom Scotland. Government extinguishes wood-burning stove ban after it sparked row. West Coast today. Wood-burning stoves, bioenergy, and peat heating will now be allowed in new homes after Minister's U-turn. 7H United Kingdom Scotland. Regulations amended to allow wood-burning stoves in new-built homes. Shetland News. Wood-burning stoves, bioenergy, and peat heating will now be permitted in new homes and buildings following a Scottish government U-turn. 7i United Kingdom Scotland. SNP's wood-burner ban plan couldn't survive the heat. The Herald. And so the SNP's ban on wood-burning stoves in new-build homes has gone up in a puff of smoke, consigned to the bonfire of failed policies which 7j United Kingdom Scotland. SNP U-turn as ministers lift ban on wood-burning stoves. The Herald. SNP ministers have announced wood-burning stoves will no longer be banned in new-build homes in a major U-turn. United Kingdom Scotland. SNP U-turn on wood-burning stoves ban after rural anger. The Times. Scottish government to allow new-build homes to burn bioenergy or peat, but restrictions on oil and gas boilers remain. 7k United Kingdom Scotland. Wood-burning stoves to be allowed in new homes. Scottish government confirms. The National. The Scottish government has confirmed that wood-burning stoves, bioenergy, and peat heating will be permitted in new homes. Gov.Scot. The Scottish government. An amendment to regulations made today permits the installation of bioenergy and peat main heating systems and any type of secondary heating systems. 7l United Kingdom Wales. Heat pumps. An expert guide for homeowners. DevBank. Development Bank of Wales. Guest article from Senior Mission Manager Nesta. Making your home more energy efficient can help you lower your carbon footprint. 8 Norway. CO2 heat pump achieves eco-design mark. Cooling Post. Norway. Oslo-based heat pump manufacturer Tekis claims to be the first to achieve eco-design certification for its high-temperature water-to-water. 9 China. Nix presents new residential air-to-water heat pumps. PV Magazine. Chinese heat pump manufacturer Nix has launched a new air-to-water heat pump series for residential heating and cooling. The Smart Grid SG. 10A India. Average PM 2.5 worst in 5 years, but winter peak down, says CSE study. Pressreader.com. But this is not all good news. As per an analysis by the Center for Science and Environment, CSE, while the peak particulate matter 2.5, PM 2.5, 10B India, PM 2.5 from firecrackers, and akin to constant cigarette smoking. Odd even, firecracker ban effects are invisible. The New Indian Express. It is akin to constant smoking. Data now shows that prolonged exposure to pollutants, particularly PM 2.5, is linked to the progressive worsening of 10C India. Punjab faces stubble burning crisis. 258 new cases reported. Chandigarh News Times of India. PM 2.5 levels between 200 and 300 are considered to indicate poor air quality. It was followed by PM 2.5 of 210 in Bathinda, 182 each in Kana, 10D India, Punjab, Haryana farm fires account for 20% of Delhi PM 2.5 from November 4th 6. DSS data. Hindustan Times. PM 2.5, particulate matter with a diameter of less than 2.5 microns, over the past 3 days, according to the Center's Decision Support System, DSS, Point 10E India. Shroud of smog envelopes Delhi amid dirty air. Hindustan Times. CPCB data showed on Thursday, both PM 2.5 and PM 10 were dominant pollutants at 4 p.m. Out of the 40 AQI stations in Delhi, 12 were in the severe. 11 Pakistan. Half of children out of school due to toxic air pollution. Newspaper. Dawn.com. Swiss Air Quality Monitoring Group IQ Air classified Lahore's air as hazardous, with PM 2.5 concentrations exceeding the World Health Organization's 0.12 APM 2.5 in clinical visits during COVID pandemic. Impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown measures on clinical visits and subjective. BMC Public Health. Biomed Central. The accumulated data included hourly concentrations of fine particulate matter, categorized by diameters equal to or less than 2.5 micrometers, PM 2.5 and 10, 12 BPM 2.5 and man-made sources. Chemical profiles of particulate matter emitted from anthropogenic sources and selected. Nature. The PM 2.5 samples from in-pipe emissions were collected on the 210 mm x 297 mm QFFs, Wattman 1851-865, UK, using a high-volume air sampler HV R500, 12 CPM 2.5 in pregnant women. Prenatal exposure to air pollutants and the second to fourth digit ratio in adult women. Nature. It included pollutant levels of particulate matter PM10, PM 2.5, sulfur dioxide, SO2, nitric dioxide, NO2, and benzene, C6H6, over the period.